parentheses x minus 3 squared. Oh no! There's a negative 4 in front of the parentheses. Let's get rid of it. So I divide by negative 4. 24, that's negative, divided by negative 4 is positive 6. Negative 4 divided by negative 4 is positive 1. Darn it, I'm trying to get to the x values. How do I get rid of that square? Square root. So I square root that stuff. I square root the right-hand side, and I get x minus 3. I square root the left-hand side, and I get the square root of 6. Uh-oh, I square rooted a variable. Plus or minus. And then, the only thing left is to move the 3, bless you, to the other side. So then I get x equals 3, which will now be positive, plus or minus the square root of 6. So as I write my x-intercepts, one way that I could write them, instead of what I had up here with 2 parentheses, since there are 2 answers, I could have written 3 plus or minus square root of 6, comma, 0. That is representing 2 x-intercepts. 3 plus the square root of 6, comma, 0, and 3 minus the square root of 6, comma, 0. Now this is the way I think most people would not be able to do right off the top of their heads. So in addition to this, I'm also going to show you how to do the calculator method. Now grab your calculator. In y1, put down 0. In y2, put down the other side of the equation. So I'm in y equals, that was a 0. And on the other side it was, negative 4, parentheses, x minus 3, was it? Yeah. Minus 3, parentheses, squared, plus 24? Yep. Thank you. Plus 24. So left-hand side goes in one of the equations, right-hand side goes in the other. Zoom. What's the first thing I always do? 6. And you look at this and dumb. Dumb as a box of rocks. Why is this dumb? No, it's not dumb, you guys. It's just fine. What am I looking for? The x-intercepts. They're there. I can see them. So you don't have to change your window. It's okay. Now you can't see it, but in the y equals, there's that 0, which is the same as the x-axis. But if I make this thing thick by going all the way to the left and hitting enter, then if I graph it, then you can see that the x-axis has been marked. You don't have to do that, but if visually you like that, you could just make it thick to see it. Let's say I want to find this x-intercept on the left-hand side. I will go second, trace, 5, enter, enter, enter. What does that number say? 0.551. You with me? 0.551? Everybody see it? 0.551. Okay, now I'm going to go back to my stuff over here. I'm going to write that down. One of the answers was 0.551. All right, so let's look at this. Grab your calculator, quit out of that, and I want you to go 3 minus square root of 6, enter. What do you see?
The same thing.
The same thing. The one that I wrote down up here in baby blue is the exact answer. The one that's down in gray is representing the 3 minus the square root of 6, or the left solution, approximated to 3 decimal places. the baby blue is the best answer, but the gray is also acceptable. So if you're using your calculator, I will take this as one of the two answers. If you're not using your calculator, baby blue. What's different about, oh no, maybe nothing yet. Hold on, don't worry. There's going to be something different about 4b. Will this thing open up or down? Up. So I write down next to it somewhere that I'm going to open up, just so I don't forget. So direction of the curve, oh, down here, direction of the curve, up. Let's start completing the square. I'm going to start up above. So now I have f of x equals parentheses 6x squared plus 3x space plus 1. Oh no, there's a 6 in front of the x squared. I'm going to factor it out. So now f of x equals 6 parentheses x squared
plus half.
Oh, plus half. Sorry, thank you. Half x space plus 1. Tricky, tricky. Watch out for that. Now, a lot of people like to go to decimals. I'm going to tell you right now that when you're dealing with completing the square, decimals are not good. I'm just going to warn you. Been doing this for a very long time. Work with fractions. It will be helpful in the long run. In order to find the number on the end, I need to look at the number in front of the x. This number right here. And divide by 2. Dividing by 2 is the same as multiplying by a half. Dividing by 2 is the same as multiplying by a half. Whenever you work with fractions, make sure that you multiply by the half. So I have 1/2 times 1/2, and then I'm going to square it. 1/2 times 1/2 is 1/4. 1/4 squared is 1/16. Now I'm going to rewrite this. So in completed square format, or in other words, standard form, I have f of x equals 6 with the parentheses being squared. Oh no! I forgot to do something on the outside of the parentheses. So I need to do something on the outside.
6 over 6.
Oh, it's 6 times 1/16, which is the same as 3/8.
Yeah.
And that was adding 3/8, so I'm going to subtract 3/8. And 1 minus 3/8 is 5/8. Simple fraction, adding and subtracting. Well, relatively, I guess, it depends. Looking inside the light blue parentheses, square root of x squared, always going to be an x. Don't ever have to worry about that. Holy moly, square root of 1/16. Don't let that freak you out. Square root of the top is 1, square root of the bottom is 4. Are there any minus signs? Nope. Put a plus. What's the vertex? Whatever makes the inside 0, which is -1/4, and whatever's on the outside, 5/8. What's really different about this problem? Fractions.
Wait, why did you do 5/8?
You just said.
Joe, be careful, you're gonna pee your pants.
I just said that.
What?
You said no gas.
Come on.
Joe, I don't know what you're talking about, but if you've got gas, exit the room. That's on recording. Alright, standard form of any parabola is y equals a parentheses x minus h squared parentheses before the square plus k. And kind of the cool thing is, if I'm looking at this, I know that my vertex is the h k stuff. In this problem, they tell me the vertex. So already this equation really looks like y equals a parentheses x
2 plus
plus 2, thank you, yeah, squared minus 9. So the 2 and the 9, in case you're wondering, the 2 that is here came from that 2, and the 9 that's here came from that 9. What I want you to do is I want you to take the next 3 minutes, and there's only one thing missing. What's missing?
A.
The A. I want you guys to find the A. Go. How do I find the A?
You will find it by itself.
Joe, thanks for raising your hand.
Put one of the x values for the intercepts in for x in the equation,
Yep.
and put y to 0.
And y is 0. So which one did you choose?
-5.
-5. I'm going to choose a different one. I like ones that, for me, in my brain, work really easy. And out of the 2 points that they give me for the intercepts, this one seems easier to me. So Joe's right. Pick one of them. He picked -5, 0. I'm going to pick 1, 0. Plug it in. See what happens. Here we go. The 1 goes in for the x. The 0 goes in for the y. So 0 equals a times 1 plus 2 is 3, squared is 9, minus 9. Or in other words, 0 is equal to 9a minus 9. What does a have to be?
1.
1. So if my a is 1, now I know the equation actually looks like y equals 1, parentheses, you don't really need to write the 1, x plus 2 quantity squared minus 9. Fini.